All right, I got my little stack going. So.
I got mine too. All my games.
All his games.
All 100% mine.
All 100%.
Yeah.
First of all, Metroid 2: Return of Samus. First of all,
never heard of that one. It's not like that's in the news.
30th anniversary was a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So happy birthday to Seamus. Super good. For a handheld game, pretty extensive.
Yeah.
It's about the same length as Zero Mission, which is
I played Zero Mission and Fusion more than I did the original.
Yeah.
Like the original one's kind of bad. Mm-hmm. The original Metroid, like, I can't dog on it, but it's just like a big slog.
Yeah,
and
it's
I like
just messy.
I like Zero Mission and Fusion, what they did with it. It's more like
Metroidvania. Yeah.
Someone made a remake of it and put it out the other day. It might have been
gone.
Yeah, it's probably been taken down already.
But I'm gonna get a copy of it and I'll check it out.
I was playing for a couple, like an hour or so.
Isn't it like SR-72 or something?
Or is SR-388 is the planet that she's on.
That's right.
Yeah. Number 2, Gargoyle's Quest for Game Boy. I love this one.
So that's the first one, right?
Yeah.
And that's the prequel to the NES one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have the NES one, which is
one of the rarest. It's super rare, I thought, right? Gargoyle's Quest 2?
Yeah, I guess it is now. I don't know if it's as rare as Demon's Crest on the Super NES. Okay.
Yeah,
but it's up there.
Yeah, good platformer. I like all the Ghosts and Goblins. Ghouls and Ghosts and Goblins.
Those are
fun. Dexterity, really fun.
I saw him play that on Kirk Almighty.
Yeah, it's SNK, which is good. I like SNK. But yeah, really good puzzling game.
Isn't it like Cubicle?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
But next one, Wario Blast, featuring Bomberman.
Like, I like how Wario took over Bomberman's.
He's in his little tiny bomb there.
Yeah, he's like completely hijacked it, and that's what I like about it.
But yeah, it's great. It's just a Bomberman game, but they just threw Wario in, which is really all you need to do.
Wario, when he takes over other people's games, like Wario, Dr. Mario, Wario's Woods is so freaking good.
Any of the WarioWares.
WarioWare's phenomenal. Wario and Mario, that's not that good.
Yeah. It's hard, it's good, it's difficult as shit.
Yeah.
Let's see, Donkey Kong. One of my favorite Game Boy games of all time. Probably up there, maybe 2 or 3.
There's an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah.
It's called, like, the Pinball Wizard.
Yeah.
And at the campfire, they're playing that version of Donkey Kong.
I just need a few more points. And I'm finally get it. Hey, what's this button do?
It's safe having right, bitch.
Kid Icarus of Myths and Monsters.
Yeah, I have that
Myths
one.
and Monsters. Super good. Kid Icarus is an interesting series.
That one's a sequel, right? To the NES one?
It's a sequel to NES.
Yeah.
But yeah, super good.
Kid Icarus, I didn't like as much. I like the 3DS one. The 3DS one is just balls to the wall. The best Star Fox I've played in years. Minus some of the ground combat, but like the original Kid Icarus, like, as I said, I'm not a fan of the original Metroid, and so Kid Icarus is a worse Metroid, so it's hard to get into unless you like mythology. I do, but it's still like just okay.
Yeah. Bonk's Adventure for the Game Boy.
Holy shit! So is that the NES? Is that like
I think so. I think it's pretty close.
Or
to
the TurboGrafx.
Yeah, but
all the Bonk games are a ton of fun.
I think there's a third one because I have Bonk's Revenge here. And I think there's a third one.
Well, there's three on the TurboGrafx, and there's also Air Zonk, which is kind of like an alternate universe Bonk.
Like Super Bonk is on Super Nintendo. Pokemon Puzzle Challenge.
Oh yeah, dude, that's Tetris Attack.
I have Tetris Attack.
That is fucking Tetris Attack.
I have Tetris Attack on the Game Boy, but it is terrible. It looks disgusting.
They call these Panel de Pon in Japan.
But it's Pokemon Tetris Attack.
It's like the 64 Pokemon Puzzle League.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, that one is actually pretty
and shit.
My mom and brother beat that game together. She was really down with it.
Kirby Tilt and Tumble, Game Boy Color only, since it's a clear cartridge or whatever. Uses a gyroscope inside to tilt Kirby around and stuff.
You can play with the GameCube.
You can play with the GameCube. You can't do it with an SP since it's like upside down.
Right.
So you have to.
Or you can get a Game Shark.
Yeah.
And then like it'll flip it over, but. Yeah, that one Jarrett was looking for a while. Yeah. And that is like the most beautiful case.
Alone in the Dark for Game Boy Color.
Oh my god, it's so like hideously beautiful because it's an isometric like PlayStation with 8-bit like polygons.
Yeah, even the DOS version is just like
I've beaten that game on PlayStation and it's a legitimately great horror game.
Yeah.
But on the Game Boy, it's cool that they made it. Like they made a Resident Evil that they never released, a port of one. It's like it's cool that they made it, but it's not gonna be scary.
Yeah.
The Game Boy for me, everything that I played was generally a surprise because it was like a brand new world for me. But one of them that really stood out. So I mentioned before on the Super Game Boy, I played through Super Mario Land 2 on my friend's TV.
Nice.
And the thing I hate, like I don't like Super Mario Land 1 or 2 specifically because of the way Mario jumps.
Yeah.
It feels like a really cheap
super floaty,
like discount bargain bin. It feels like somebody else made a Mario game. Like Super Mario Land throwing those bouncy balls instead of the fireballs. Like the physics were just wrong. I like 2 a lot more. It has more charisma and characteristics that like just make it unique. But nothing compares to Wario's first game. First game you could play as Wario. This is Super Mario Land 3, even though Mario just shows up in his fucking plane. But he's not even a bad guy. But Wario's first game, I actually played Wario Land on the Virtual Boy first. So that was my first exposure to a Wario game. So it's like, oh shit, I got this and I loved it. And I remember being on a field trip and I took this with me because I brought my Game Gear and I brought my Game Boy. My Game Gear lasted maybe 15 minutes. My Game Boy, I busted out Wario and we were going on like an hour trip there and an hour trip back. And I busted out this game, and I had already gotten through all the levels, but I found out the more coins you get, the crazier mansion Wario gets at the end, kind of like Luigi's Mansion. So I got the max amount of coins you can get, and I got the Wario Moon. So that's like always a great memory. Wario's just one of my favorite characters out of all the mainstream Nintendo characters. I mean, there's some obscure guys I'm into, like Geno, maybe, but This is my favorite Game Boy Color of all time, Wario Land 3. Oh my god. So, I was on summer vacation and I was like away at my grandparents' summer place, and I just had this game and it was like a record heat wave. And I remember I just sat down and played this and I was glued to it because this is like a Wario game where Wario's invincible. Like you can take damage, but you will never die, and that's part of the mechanic. Is like when Wario catches on fire, his whole body's on fire, and you use that to break through blocks, and then you can go get this treasure or this key. And they actually had a cool golf game in here too.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And I thought it was colorful. The sound effects, like I can remember all the sound effects. I can remember all the things he can turn into, like a vampire and a zombie. And I was just like, this is I think the best game on like the full-on game that's not Pokemon. Full-on platformer for the Game Boy. This is the best you can get. Tetris DX. So I don't choose the regular Tetris. I choose DX because DX is like loud and crazy and beautiful. And I mean that's. But like this is something you could just keep in your bathroom. Like you can keep a Game Boy Pocket in your bathroom for guests and just keep Tetris DX on it, play a few lines.
It's good.
And I remember I had a German teacher in high school, and like he's like, yeah, Miles, go get me a pin out of my desk. I opened his desk and he had a Game Boy with Tetris DX in there. I was like, Herr Barrett, why do you have a Game Boy in here? Did you confiscate that? He was like, that's mine. I was like, okay. Maybe he did confiscate it and it was somebody else's. Pokemon, the trading card game. What's better, like, because I did collect some of the trading card games. Oh my fucking god, really?
Mine from when I was a kid. And I lost I didn't lose, I think I just clawed the label off.
That looks good though. That's like way cool.
I taped over it, but the only tape we had was like special like Hallmark tape that had like a weird print on it.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I drew it up, and it's been like that since I have it.
I have 3 copies of this game. I had 2 at one point, and I got another in a lot, but 2. So because nobody else bought this one that I knew. And I was huge into collecting the Pokemon cards, so like I played this one and learned more strategies playing this than I did playing the actual card game.
Yeah.
And it's just so crazy because like there's gyms where there's different decks you would build. So I learned about deck building, and then there's like this weird random NPC called like
Imakuni's fun.
And he had the shittiest deck, and he just wiped him out all the time. But
he has multiple trainer cards that are straight up flip a coin. If it's heads or tails, he discards his own hand.
Yeah. So
worst.
In this video, I'm going to be using music from Pokemon the Trading Card Game because it's one of my favorite soundtracks.
Yeah.
And like I think there was like a sequel that came out in Japan that we didn't get.
Yeah. Or there's a full translation patch already out.
Yeah.
And it's way harder. Like
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
The Yu-Gi-Oh game on Game Boy is fucking brutal.
That's different because it doesn't follow any of the fucking card game rules.
Yeah.
But with the second Pokemon Trading Card Game one is like they have different like precautions for every battle. Where it's like, you can't use this type of energy.
Yeah.
So you can't use electric energy and it's a fucking water gym.
Jesus.
So it's like every battle you have to switch up your deck to take care of whatever the next one is.
You go to Brock's gym, only have Pikachus.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh my god. Yeah, worse than the anime.
Yeah.
I have to mention the Zelda series. Link's Awakening was also another thing I played on my friend's Super Game Boy. Like, I honestly think he didn't own a Game Boy. I think his parents just got him the Super Nintendo and they're like, fuck it, Super Game Boy, we're gonna buy the games. But I played this one, but Oracle of Ages and Seasons, probably my two favorite Zelda games of all time.
Yeah.
Just because, like, I like that a different developer was Capcom that developed it. I like that they took a traditional Zelda like A Link to the Past. Now, A Link to the Past is way up there for me.
Yeah.
But they took those elements and then they added like a collect-a-thon like Pokemon. So they like tapped into two things that I really love. Yeah. And those rings, like some of them were just stupid. Like
you turn into a like
we're an Octorok. Yeah. Like I liked that part, but I also liked after you beat them both, you unlock the final chapter where you got to fight Ganon. Yeah. Like Pig Ganon, not like shyster, horrible Jewish stereotype.
Pretty boy Ganon.
Ganondorf.
Big nose.
Ganondorf.
Big nose dwarf.
Yeah, Ganondorf is such a stupid name.
He's a pussy.
Can I get in and talk? Like, it sounds like Steven Dorff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not afraid of a dwarf.
Just Ganon.
Dwarf sounds like a fucking gnome.
He's Ganon dwarf.
Yeah.
But I have the Japanese version of DX. And I like it because look at Link's derpy ass
Oh
face.
my god,
look how good is that?
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That looks like an anime straight up.
It's flat out anime. But I do like just the simplicity of that one and the DX one.
Hidden gem. Not many people talk about. I recently found this and I was super excited for it. Bubble Ghost.
Yeah.
Also only has one really good song, but still one of the best soundtracks.
Yeah.
So this game is a puzzler, and I love puzzlers on the Game Boy because it was like built for it. And you're just a ghost that has to blow a bubble across like these spike pits. It's like Operation.
The most adorable ghost.
Yeah. And then you have your access point being around the bubble, so you just like change your lips like.
Yeah.
And like, I had so much fun. This is like one of the most, I think, underrated games for the system. And it's just like you can beat it in maybe like 30 minutes or so. But it's fun to pick up and play. And it's one of those games that just time trials where I try and get better at it. Yeah. Resident Evil Gaiden. I'm huge into Resident Evil. And this was like such a weird move for Capcom to make a full-on Resident Evil game. Yeah. It's Gaiden, it's a side story, it's non-canon, but it was going to be. It really was at one point. But Resident Evil Gaiden is like if you took a golf game and mixed it with a survival horror game. That seriously. So you play as Leon from Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 2, and he's on a cruise ship, and it already sounds like fucking. Right here. They basically took the plot of Resident Evil Dead Aim and Cold Fear, which I'm not going to get down to, but it's basically Resident Evil Dead Aim's plot. And he like lands on this ship filled with zombies, and it's legitimately frightening because each zombie can fuck you up like big time. And it truly is a survival game because you don't have a lot of ammo. You do have a knife, but you have like a freaking slider, and there's like one spot where you can either crit hit them or get them in just a regular hit spot. Right. So it's like constantly this way. But sometimes you'll have like 3 or 4 zombies, and you're like pew 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 pew, and trying to keep them at bay. Yeah. But some zombies can poison you and do all this other stuff. And I know it sounds miserable, but I liked it, and not many people like that one, but I do, especially because like the last part is just brutal. Yeah. Barry's also in it, but there's this twist at the end of the game where Leon's apparently a clone, or he's been infected by the virus, and it like ends on a cliffhanger. The original Resident Evil 4, when it was known as 3.5, was all about Leon being infected. I was like, shit, guy was gonna link in, and then they just dropped it from there, made it into its own thing. Probably for the better, but. And then Metal Gear, Ghost Babel. Yeah. So if you've played any of the old Metal Gear MSX games, it's more like that, only with some Metal Gear Solid, like you can wall hug and you can crawl on the ground. You can knock on walls. Yeah, you can knock on walls. It was like the Metal Gear game on the NES that we never got, like a really good, fully fledged one. Had a great story, great cutscenes and everything, and I just remember just going through it one summer and just loving it and thinking like the Game Boy just had so much potential. I did have an experience though where somebody deleted my save file. Yeah. That shit is terrifying. And it was like my cousin. I was over at my grandparents for like Thanksgiving, and I had like 200 Pokemon on Pokemon Gold and probably like 70 hours in it. And she comes over and she just starts up, goes to new game, plays 3 minutes, saves, puts it away. And I was just like, imagine working a 70-hour work week.
And someone ripping up the cash in front of you.
And you're running out of food. And your boss is like, I'm sorry, I can't pay you. And you have to do it all over again.
Oh, God.
I was seizing out. I was uncontrollably crying.
Sobbing.
For a week, and I didn't want to play it again. But the girl was like, what can I do to fix this? She's like, can I buy a new game? Her. Can I buy a new game? I was like, the silver version.
Oh, good.
And I got silver version.
And
I have disliked that cousin ever since for doing that. It was a girl.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's watching this, but I haven't forgiven you because you never apologized.
Fucked up.
You never understood it. But now that Pokemon Go's out, I'm gonna send the kill beam to your phone. Fucking Mr. Robot.
I'm coming to your house with a fucking defibrillator. Shot
on your fucking joy. Just
This is a legend about a rainbow bird and a silver dragon passed down in Johto history. There's 2 halves to this story, and only 2 Poke Gambinos know each half. They about to meet for the first time. Between the 2 of them, they collected 16 different badges of honor in this world, and met all sorts of Poke freaks along the bike trail. Are you ready? Moonstone, Crackstone, hit it.
Moonlight. World Island, get your cars right. Silver Dragon asleep, but we in for a big fight. 16 badges, but I'm still looking for a new life. Forget it, we in it. Got a Pokédex 251 bitches deep. Call me Hanta, I'm eating dreams in your sleep. Grew up Pupitar, now I'm Tyranitar on the mic. Officer Jenny arrested me and I took her home on my bike. 2-wheel, it even had that little bell on it. When you heard that shit, you knew I was gonna hit them skins that night. No condoms, ever! Raw dog.